Hi, it's Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours, and thank you so much for joining me for our Saturday live stream. So this Saturday, I will be answering your questions, and I know it's such a big deal to move to another country, especially if you haven't traveled internationally very much. So you probably have a lot of questions, and I'm here to answer those questions for you. But before I get started on the questions, I'll tell you when you can ask them in just a little bit. I've got two announcements to make. For those of you that are new to our channel, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And just a little background, my name is Jackie Lange, the owner of Panama Relocation Tours. For those of you that are coming back for our regular Saturdays, we have so many people that come here every Saturday, and I really appreciate that, and welcome back to all of you. So a couple of announcements I have to make. One is that Debbie Klappa, you'll see Chuck and Debbie Klappa in the names. Debbie Klappa is our moderator because with 100 or 200 people on the line, it's hard for me to see all the conversations that are going on over on the side. So she kind of monitors all of that for me. So Debbie, thank you so much for monitoring everything. The other thing is we've gotten a couple of emails recently from people that they signed up for what they thought was a Panama Relocation Tour. They clicked on a link that said Panama Relocation Tours, but it was actually a completely different company that's been using our name and advertising Panama Relocation Tours. So when you get ready to sign up for a Panama Relocation Tour, be very, very careful and make sure that you actually go to our website that says PanamaRelocationTours.com. That's where you can get the information. There's a little link at the top that says book a tour. We only require a $500 per person deposit. But be careful of some of these people running ads using our company name. It's very unethical and deceptive that they're doing that, and we're trying to put a stop to it, but I just wanted to warn you about that in advance. So let me tell you how it works with our Q&A. And we've been doing this since 2010. This is 14 years we've been doing these Q&As. We used to just do them on a conference call, and then people talked me into doing these live streams, which I'm still not real comfortable with the whole video thing, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it. So unfortunately, I'm not able to just click on a button and unmute your line and you're going to be able to ask your question. What you're going to have to do with this live stream is you're going to have to type it into the chat window, but please put 3 question marks in front of it. If I see the 3 question marks, then I know you have a question. And I'll just pop it up on the screen and I'll answer it for you. If I don't see the 3 question marks, I'll just assume that you're having a conversation with somebody over in the chat window and that it's not really a question for me. So let's go ahead and get this started. If anybody has a question for me, if you would please type it into the chat. Remember to put 3 question marks in front of it so I can easily identify it. And then one more announcement while we're waiting for people to ask a question. Our February tours are completely sold out, and I think we have one opening for a March tour, and our April tours are almost sold out also. So if you're thinking about coming in April, I would encourage you to get signed up for one of the April tours, especially the April 12th tour. We only have a couple of seats left on it. We only require a $500 per person deposit. If you need to cancel for any reason, just let us know at least a month in advance before your tour and you'll get a full refund. To learn more about Panama Relocation Tours, just go to our website and click on the Tours tab, and you can read about our group tours that are 6-day, 7-night tours, or the private tours, either one. Also, we just added some new tour guides for the Azura Peninsula for our private tours. So let me get to some of these questions. So Stella wants to know, how much time before the actual move do I need to obtain an attorney? So it wouldn't hurt if you knew you're going to be moving and you have an approximate time frame of when you're going to be moving to Panama. It would not hurt for you to contact that attorney 3, 4, even 6 months in advance. and just they'll give you a list of documents and you need to get. Remember, the documents can't be more than 6 months old when you apply for a visa, so you don't want to get the documents too soon. But go ahead and communicate with the attorney, let them know when you plan to move, which visa you're interested in if you already know, and they'll give you a list of everything. So, at least 3 months in advance, and 6 months wouldn't hurt. Next, I'll go to a question from Frank. Is there an increasing problem with garbage collection in Panama City? So in some areas of Panama City, there is a problem with garbage collection, especially right after a holiday like New Year's. There was a big problem right after New Year's, or we've got Carnival coming up. There'll be a problem right after Carnival. The majority of Panama, there's no problem at all. But there's just a few places in Panama where there is a bit of a problem. And Cynthia wants to know, regarding private tours, we have 3 or 4 specific towns we want to visit. Do you organize that, or do you refer us to each local tour guide in the town to make our own arrangements? So the way our private tours work, and by the way, there's information about that on our website. If you just go to Panama Relocation Tours, and in the search feature type in private tours, there's a write-up about it. So you would actually contact the private tour guides in the areas that you're interested in, and you would schedule that with them directly, and you pay them directly. We're not involved in the private tours other than giving you the list of people that we recommend for private tours. Is there a waiting list for the February 24th tours? If so, how long is the list, and can I get in? So I would have to go look, and I don't have time to go look right now during this live stream, but this is how you can get on the backup list for the February 24th tour. So once again, go to our website, PanamaRelocationTours.com, and in the search feature on the upper right-hand side, just type in backup, 2 separate words, and it'll take you to a page where you can get on the backup list just in case we get a cancellation. Then we'll notify you about that. And Cynthia, in the guide, do you have recommendations for Spanish teachers who deliver an online curriculum rather than in person? Yes, we do have recommendations for teachers that do Zoom classes to teach you Spanish. And Erica, greetings from Boston. Hey, I bet it's a little bit cold up in Boston. It's so hot down here, I had to turn my air conditioner on in the office. Is it required to have 500K CD in a Panama bank in order to get residency? We're not at the retirement age right now. We're 44 and 49. So there's a couple of different options. If you're not retirement age, they could fall under either a reforestation visa, they could fall under a friendly nation visa. So if you go to our website and on the search feature type in other visa options, then you'll see what those other visa options are. Just to give you the short version, for the friendly nation visa, it has to be $200,000 in a 3-year CD at a Panama bank. For the residency visa, for the reforestation visa, it's $100,000 investment in 5 hectares of like teak or some other kind of renewable resource, teak, bamboo, something like that. And then there's also a business visa for $160,000. Also, be sure and check out our $5,000 friendly nation visa that is described in that whole write-up about other visa options. I've been missing a couple of questions. You guys are asking them faster than I can get to them. I'm 59, I don't qualify for the pensionado visa. Can we use the Panama Corporation for me as the manager managing my 401k account, or me to manage rentals in our home country? Yes, you can do all of those things. The minimum salary needs to be $1,000 a month, so it's easy. For anybody that's curious about this, Panama setting up a friendly nation visa by setting up a Panama corporation that hires you, just go to our website and in the search feature type in 5,000 for more details. How much does it cost to get a will? So if you get a will and this is whenever I got my will, which was several years ago, so the prices could be a little bit different. But when I got my Panama will in Spanish, it was $160. That's all, just $160, included all the notaries. They had to take a picture of me signing it. They had to take a picture of me holding my will and pointing to my signature, in case someone said, well, I don't think she signed it. If you want to get a will that's in English and Spanish, they have to use an official translator for that. And then the cost goes up to about $500 for a will. Or those are what the prices were when I got mine. For those of you that just came in and missed the first part of the live stream where I said how to ask a question, if you would please type in the chat window, whatever your question is, make sure you put 3 question marks in front of it so I can easily identify it as a question. I'll pop it up on the screen just like this one, and then I'll answer it for you. Nicole wants to know, are there beach towns similar to Bocas with restaurants and bars along the beach? So Bocas has a lot of restaurants and bars along the beach. Coronado has a couple of those, but not very many. But Bocas is where you're going to have the majority of things like that. And Jean wants to know, have you been to any significant changes in the government in 2024? So in 2024, we're going to get a new president. The elections are going to happen in May. We'll get our new president in July. And usually when we get a new president, there are going to be some changes. There could be changes in immigration rules. There could be changes in things to bolster the economy. But we don't know what those changes are going to be until we actually get our new president. I did put something on our Facebook page for Panama Relocation Tours about the 4 top contenders for being president and what they stand for and what they want to accomplish for the country. So if you'll search through that of the 4 main presidential candidates for Panama, then they'll kind of give you a little bit of information about who they are and what they're standing for. Stephanie wants to know, I've been watching Chuck Holton reporting from the Darien Gap. Are there many people flowing into Panama illegally, including Chinese gangs? Have you seen any influx of in expat areas? So that's not how it works at all. If you follow the Panama news, then you would know that whenever migrants come through the Darien Gap, they have to stay in an enclosed area where they're processed. They do a background check on them. They check their IDs. Some of them are instantly deported because they have a criminal record, and some of them are allowed to stay there. Not more than 24 hours, and then they're put on a bus and they're taken directly to the Costa Rica border, where Costa Rica is waiting with another bus that's going to take them to Nicaragua. And then Nicaragua is going to put them on a bus and take them to Mexico. So the migrants are not allowed to hang around in Panama. They're not allowed to leave that protected area. There's a lot of fake, false information that's going on all over the internet about what's going on at the Darien Gap. But if you read the Panama news instead of some of the expat information, then you would see what's really going on. You look beautiful today. Well, thank you very much. Have you considered doing a live stream on pet relocation? We've actually done a live stream on pet relocation, and we have at least 2 videos on pet relocation. So if you look in our previous live streams, then you should be able to find those. But we could do another one. It'd be a good thing to do another one just to answer everybody's questions about bringing your pets in. The rules haven't changed. They're still exactly the same. Is there anything like senior citizen homes or villages or nursing homes or palliative care possibilities in the Chiriquí province? So in the Chiriquí province, in David, there is an assisted living facility. From what I understand, it's such a good one. And it's only like $750 a month. It's so good that there's a waiting list to get in there. There's a new one that is just opening up close to Volcan. and it's called Golden Years. I believe their website is goldenyears.org. It's owned by a lady named Sonia. Once it's completely open, then we will send our videographer over there to do a video about it so that you can see it. So there's one in David, there's a tiny one here in Boquete that's mostly for palliative care, and then the one that's over in Bocan. Bruno wants to know, is there an inventory of rent-to-buy houses, generally speaking, or do you have any quick thoughts about rent-to-buy? So rent-to-buy or rent-to-own is rarely ever advertised. It's rarely ever advertised. But if you have someone that has a house for sale and it's been for sale for quite some time and it hasn't sold, all you have to do is present them with the opportunity of, you'll give them a little bit of money now and you'll pay it off later and you'll make monthly payments in between. You're going to find that so many sellers, if you're dealing with the seller directly, that they will accept a rent to own or rent to buy or lease option or seller financing. They'll do that. If you're working with a real estate agent, it's probably never going to happen. But if you're dealing with the seller directly, you can get that. I've helped many people in Panama Relocation Tours buy houses with seller financing. Ken wants to know, if my wife and I are considering the 200K CD option for the Friendly Nation visa, do we each need to get a 200 CD, or does the 200K cover both of us? So if you're legally married, Ken, that's $200,000 for the first person, then you'll need to add an additional $2,000 for the second person for you both to qualify for a Friendly Nation visa. So $202,000, and you can both get the Friendly Nation visa. And just so you know, I mentioned this last week, but it's an important thing to know. Let's say that you've been here for a year and all of a sudden you run across this incredible opportunity to buy some real estate at a significantly reduced price. You've been here long enough to know it's a really good deal. We always tell people rent for at least a year before you buy. Instead of you taking that money out of the CD and paying a penalty for it and losing the opportunity to get the Friendly Nation visa, you can actually borrow against your own CD at a super low interest rate, like 2%, to buy that real estate. So if you're going to get a Friendly Nation visa, instead of rushing into buying real estate, we really advise that you do the 200,000 CD instead. How is the city of Chame to buy a house that is in a safe area? So Chame is a very safe area. And for those people that don't know, it's west of Panama City, but it's east of Coronado. So it's kind of halfway between Panama City and Coronado is Chame. It has beautiful beaches. It's real windy this time of year, so it's good for kite surfing. But it's a safe area. I always recommend that you just rent for at least a year in the area before you rush into buying anything. And Kay wants to know, is it better to rent a car at Tacoma or get transportation to somewhere else for better pricing? We want to drive to Coronado and Gorgona to explore. So in our complete Panama relocation guide, we have recommendation for a car rental company that's in the Coronado area, and they'll actually come to the airport and pick you up, and they'll bring you back to Coronado. And then you don't have to drive through that crazy traffic in Panama City. So that's absolutely the best way to rent a car, not at the airport and to have to deal with that traffic on your own, but have someone pick you up. The car rental company, they won't charge anything to pick you up at the airport and take you back to Coronado. And Ken wants to know, hello, my name is Ken. With the Pensionado Permanent Visa, can I start a business in Panama for personal investments in Panama? So the way that it works with the Pensionado Visa is you can start a business and you can own a business in Panama, but you just can't work in your business. So let's say that you were going to start a restaurant, and you can certainly own a restaurant as a Pensionado Visa holder, but you're not going to be able to work in the restaurant. You can't cook, you can't take orders, you can't do anything in the business. You'd have to hire other people to do it. If you want to have more hands-on for your business, then I would recommend instead that you get the Friendly Nation visa, and check out our $5,000 Friendly Nation visa. It would be a very good option for that. And you can get a work permit. Erica says, do we pay U.S. federal income taxes for income made in Panama? Yes, you do. Unfortunately, U.S. citizens are required to report their income worldwide and pay taxes on your income worldwide. A lot of people don't know this, but your Panama bank account, just a regular savings account, will earn significant amounts of interest, especially if you move some of it over into an account called an intracuenta account. It'll earn at least 2.5, sometimes 3.5% interest, and they pay interest every day. So the interest can really add up. You actually have to report the interest that you earn on your Panama bank accounts on your U.S. federal income tax and pay taxes on that interest in the United States. Now, Panama, luckily, does not require you to report the interest that you earn on your bank account. But if you do have income that you make in Panama from rental properties or business that you have, you are going to have to report that, and you're going to have to pay taxes on it in Panama. Monique wants to know, when driving out of Panama City to go to the west of the country, is it best to rent a car or take the major roads out of the city? So it's kind of the same answer that I gave someone earlier. In our online Panama relocation guide, we have recommendation for a car rental company that's in Coronado, and they'll pick you up at the airport and take you to Coronado, so you don't have to worry about the crazy, insane traffic that is in Panama City. And believe me, the traffic in Panama City is really crazy. So it's better to have the Coronado car rental people come and pick you up. Let me get a drink of water. I've had a sore throat for the last couple of days. I'm from Panama, but have been in the U.S. since '94. How easy is it for my husband to get residency? So Miriam, that's a really good question. And there's really kind of two answers for it. Your husband could get residency based on being married to a Panamanian, but that whole process takes about 2 years, sometimes 3 years. And if your husband qualifies for like a pensionado visa, where he has at least $1,000 a month in lifetime income, it would be much faster and easier for him to get his residency that way. He would have his permanent residency in less than 6 months. Keep in mind, until you have your permanent residency, you don't qualify for any of those jubilado or pensionado discounts. So the sooner he can get to a permanent visa, the better. And thought I clicked on one, but maybe I didn't. Richard wants to know, can I use Medicare or Veterans Disability benefits in Panama? So you cannot use Medicare in Panama. If you have the right Medicare Advantage plan, then it will cover urgent care or emergencies in Panama. However, you have to pay for it up front, and then you have to file a claim with Medicare to be reimbursed, or your Medicare Advantage company to be reimbursed. As far as your Veterans Disability benefits in Panama, if it's service-connected disability that you're being treated for here in Panama, then yes, that could be covered through the VA or FMP. We have an article about veterans medical benefits on our website. So if you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and you type in the upper right-hand side of veterans benefits, we have a lot more information about it. We also did a live stream with one of the veteran service officers last year that talked a little bit more in detail about the veterans disability benefits available in Panama. That also includes medications too. For the new Friendly Nation visa, does my entire family have to be in Panama to complete the paperwork? Yes, everyone has to come in Panama to apply for the Friendly Nation visa, unless there is another option that you could use, but it would end up costing more money. The best thing is for your whole family to come at the same time to apply for the Friendly Nation visa. But if that's just not possible for some reason, then it is possible for just you to come and get the Friendly Nation visa. and then later you can add your family to the Friendly Nation visa. It costs extra to do it that way, but for some people, that's the only way that it's going to work out. So they can be added later. Eric wants to know, do you need to have a residency visa to open a bank account, or can I open a bank account with just a visit? The majority of banks will not open a bank account for a tourist unless you have a letter from an immigration attorney that says you've started the residency visa process. But if you're just here as a tourist and you don't plan to get a visa, you're not going to be able to get a bank account in Panama. Maureen wants to know, can I be a snowbird and be in Panama without having a visa? You can be a snowbird, and a lot of Canadians do that, and also people from up north from the United States. As a tourist from North America, you can stay for 180 days as a tourist. You should know that you can only drive for the first 90 days that you're in Panama, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that do that every single year. They stay here as a snowbird. Do I need to have my Social Security payments transferred to a Panama bank account? No, you do not need to have your Social Security transferred to Panama bank account. You can if you want to, but it's not required. I'm Panamanian, but I have to renounce my citizenship due to work, RTN employee. What would be better for benefits and taxes, to stay as a U.S. citizen or regain my Panama citizenship? You know, I'm not really qualified to answer that question. I would suggest that you talk to a tax advisor, because there's going to be tax implications either way. If you're a U.S. citizen, then you're required to pay taxes on your worldwide income. If you're a Panama citizen, it has a territorial taxing system, so you only pay taxes on income that you make in Panama. But, you know, you have to look at the big picture of Social Security and any other kind of benefits. So you really need to talk to an expat tax advisor to get the answer to that question. When are the PRT group meetings in February? Husband, I'll be here later in February. So I haven't set the date yet for the February meetings. It usually works around, it's always going to be on a Thursday, and it's usually right around the time that we're doing a tour. So I'll hopefully next week I can set our February dates, and it'll be posted on our private Facebook group. Stephanie wants to know, in the video with the German expats in Volcan last year, you mentioned rumors that the old Friendly Nation visa might come back. Have you heard any more about that? The last I heard is they're not going to bring it back. So we have something that's similar to it. If you look on our website and type in that $5,000 in the search feature, but the old Friendly Nation visa is not coming back. Now, like I said, we're getting a new president in July, and they usually like to come up with some new immigration scheme. We don't know what it's going to be, or if they're going to come up with anything, or if they're going to take something away from what's already there. As soon as I know, believe me, I'll be sending out an email blast to everybody on our list to let them know. If you're not on our email list, please go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and subscribe to our website. That's how you're going to get the updated information on any immigration changes that just might happen. Richard wants to know, can you apply for a pensionado visa while you're on the tour? You're not going to be able to do it while you're on the tour, because we're going to keep you busy every single minute, and we're also moving every single day during the tour. We're moving from one town to another town to another town. To get the pensionado visa, you need to come in a week before, or plan to stay a week after the tour, and then you can get your pensionado visa. Just make sure that you have all your paperwork in order, preferably that you've sent it to your immigration attorney before you even come on the tour. Heather wants to know, what would be the best way to pay for rent and expenses if I only plan to stay for 3 months without being able to open a bank account? So to pay for rent, if you're only going to be here for 3 months, you'd probably be renting on an Airbnb. So you would pay that with a credit card, or you can do a bank transfer on Airbnb for a 3-month rental. As far as your other expenses, you can use your debit card from the country that you're from at any ATM machine. Probably it's going to be a debit card that doesn't have any foreign transaction charges, or it will reimburse you for foreign transaction charges. You need to be warned, though, that when you're using a foreign debit card at a Panama ATM machine, you can only get $250 per transaction, and it costs $6.50 to do that. So you might want to bring some cash with you. Maria wants to know, do we have to have Social Security payments already going into the bank for a couple of months before applying for the pensionado visa? So you need to have at least one deposit into your bank account before you can apply for the pensionado visa. Just having a letter that says you're going to get Social Security at some point in the future, that's not good enough. You have to actually be receiving it. Would buying a 200,000 property be the equivalent of 2K CD? Yes, for the Friendly Nation visa, there's a couple of ways to be approved for the Friendly Nation visa. One is to get a job in Panama. The other one is to buy real estate, titled real estate worth at least $200,000, or to put $200,000 into a 3-year CD in a Panama bank account. I'm registered for the tour in June. Super excited. We are too. We can't wait to show you Panama. Is the guidebook a part of the package, or I need to purchase it separately? It's free. Once you finish your tour, then everybody that comes on a tour since we created the guide, which was in 2020, then you're going to get access to the online complete Panama Relocation Guide right after your tour. You'll also get invited to our private Facebook group, where we offer ongoing support before, during, and after your tour. Plus, you get to interact with a lot of people that have already moved to Panama. So it's a great way to really get tuned in to what's happening here in Panama. Are there services on the Pan American Highway, or do you have to go into town along the way to rest stops? So along the Pan American Highway, there's going to be some gas stations, there'll be some restaurants, you'll even see some grocery stores. The very best gas station to go to that has the best restaurants, they have a little snack bar in there, is called Va Vin. It's VA space VEN, Va Vin. It's actually owned by Chirpel and Carlos Slim from Mexico, but that's the best place to go if you need gas or if you need a pit stop. On your site, it says if you don't walk well or you need to set up a private tour, I can walk about an hour before. Oh, well, you're not going to, if you can walk for about an hour, you don't even have to worry about that. You're going to be able to do just fine. There are about 4 steps to get on and off the bus, so you need to be aware of that. And then the bus is going to park as close as it can whenever we stop to see a shopping center, hospital, restaurants, rental properties. We'll get as close as we can, but sometimes we have to park a block or 2 away from where the rental is. The bus driver always tries to let you off as close as possible, but you need to be able to make that walk. We've had some people contact us and they're in a wheelchair or they have a walker, and making that walk might not work for them, but you can do just fine. If you could not live in Boquete, what would be your second choice location? So that's a great question. You know, I actually earlier last year, I think it was like January and February of last year, I moved to, just for a change of scenery. I still had my house in Boquete, but I moved to Valle de Anchon, and it's a beautiful place to live. And I thought that I would give it a test drive. Like I tell all of you, give the place a test drive for 6 months before you really sign a long-term lease or buy anything. So I was going to give it a test drive. And I had this amazing house that I found with the help of a Panamanian friend. It had a little river in the back. It had 2 waterfalls in my backyard. And it was just a great house, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2 living areas, just beautiful views. And told that someone's trying to call me on declining the call. Anyway, I had problems with the electricity was out at least 4 hours every day. And if the electricity went out, my internet went out. Sometimes it was out 8 hours a day. So I determined that as beautiful as the VA was, and as much as I liked it, it was not going to work out for me. Also, the road to get to VA is just horrible to get to or leave a VA. And for many things, they just weren't available in a VA, so I had to go all the way into Coronado, which was more than an hour drive for anything I needed. So I marked a VA off the list. I guess if I had to move someplace else, the only other choice that I would have that would have the weather that I want would be Volcan. And there's been a lot of really great changes in Volcan in the last year, so it could certainly be an option. For a longer visit, can both spouses bring in a max of 10 grand each? So you probably don't want to be bringing in $10,000 each. It wouldn't be a good idea to do that. I would say just bring a couple $1,000s. You can always Western Union more money to yourself if you need to, but don't be bringing $20,000 into the country. Or open up a bank account and wire the money into a bank account. 1 second. So during the tour, we were taken to a few landing pads. Can I get access to those locations and information, please? So I don't know what you mean by a landing pad, but if you send an email to info@PanamaRelocationTours.com and you let me know which tour you were on and which locations you're interested in, I'll see what I can find. We don't do the same thing on every tour. Every single tour is a little bit different. So if something that happened a year ago, I probably wouldn't be able to figure out where it was. But send an email and I'll see what I can find out. Do you need to have a residency visa before getting Panama health insurance? So some of the Panama health insurance does require that you have a residency visa first. There's a hospital in Panama City called Hospital Santa Fe, which there's no age restriction at all on that insurance. They don't require you to be vaccinated for COVID to get that insurance, but you have to have a residency visa. Some of the other insurances are not going to require that you have a visa yet. It just depends on which one. There's so many options. Any personal experience with Altos de Maria? Yes, I've been to Altos de Maria many, many times and looked at houses there. It was even a place that I was considering whenever I was checking out other places last year. For me personally, I don't like the roads. They're not in very good condition. There's nothing there. I mean, it's beautiful scenery, beautiful houses, but for anything that you want, like if you needed to get a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk, you're going to have to drive into Coronado for anything. Or if you want to go out to eat at a restaurant, there's nothing there. You're going to have to go someplace else. But if you just like peace and quiet, it's a beautiful place. How do people fare with rheumatoid arthritis or any kind of arthritic conditions in the Panama climate? So the good question, the good answer is it depends on where you live. If I know people that have lived in the Boquete area or any of the highland towns like Valle, Boquete, or Volcan, and the cooler weather and the more rain flared up their arthritis and made it worse. So, but if you lived in a warmer climate, like in Chitre or Las Tablas, where it gets the least amount of rain and the weather's just a little bit warmer, I know many people that said their symptoms have completely disappeared by moving there. So the answer is it depends on where you live. We are two families relocating to Panama together. Can our husbands open a corporation together and both qualify for the labor contract? No, you're not going to be able to do that. It has to be separate families applying for the corporation. It can't be two families applying for that corporation. It has to be separate. If I move with our spouse and I want to work at a military base, do I need a work permit? Well, first of all, there are no military bases in Panama. The United States hasn't been here for 20 years. They all left. And Panama does not have a military, so there are no military bases. But to answer your question about just working in Panama, you do have to have a work permit if you want to work in Panama. Jane says, please speak to the question about mosquitoes and marijuana legal. So marijuana is not legal in Panama. It's illegal in Panama. Any kind of marijuana is illegal in Panama. And mosquitoes, it depends on where you are. Where I live here in Boquete, I don't have any mosquito problems at all. If I were to go, 30 minutes down the road, they might have a mosquito problem. So it all depends on where you are. Daniel says, my wife is waiting for a passport renewal, which we expect in March, so thinking of a PRT in April. But if there's some delay, what happens with our deposit? So if you signed up for an April tour now, and there was a delay in her getting her passport, you just need to let us know that you're waiting on the passport. And with the deposit, we would just move it over to another tour for a date that worked for you. If you wanted to cancel, let us know at least a month in advance. But if you need to just move it to another date because she doesn't have the passport, that's no problem, and there's no fee to do that. 1 second. We have a 12-year-old son. Would you recommend we live in Panama City to get good private education? So there's people that live all over Panama that have 12-year-old sons, and they get a good education in all of the different places. There's some excellent schools in Panama City. There's some really good schools that are in the Coronado area. There's good schools in Boquete. There's an international school just south of Boquete. There's several in David, and there's some in Volcán, and there's some even in Bocas del Toro. So you don't have to be in Panama City to get a good education. Jeanette says, would it be possible to visit Volcán on one of your tours? So we always go to Volcán during our 6-day, 7-night all-inclusive Panama Relocation Tour. We spend the whole day of Wednesday in Volcán during the tour. Would you happen to know if the rugged trail to the top of Volcán Baru is open to private Jeep owners or just to the Jeep group tours? So it's not open for the private Jeep owners to drive up there. It's only open to the group tours. And even if it was open, I would not recommend that you go up there in your private Jeep or even hike to the top of Volcán Baru unless you're with a certified guide for Volcán Baru. Too many things can go wrong, and it can go from bad to worse really fast. If I came living in Panama, passport expires in 6 months, how easy is it to get it renewed at the U.S. Embassy? So it's super easy, William, to get your passport renewed at the U.S. Embassy in Panama City. You can actually go to mailboxes, etc., and they'll help you with the paperwork and the package to send it to the U.S. Embassy. Or you can go to the U.S. Embassy yourself, and then you can take care of it. Everybody hold on 1 minute. I have to send a message real quick to someone. Okay. Sorry about that. One of the restaurants in Panama City had a question for me, and I didn't want to hold him up, so I appreciate you waiting for a minute while I took care of that. So Annette says, sent the email, landing pads are places where you stay. Oh, okay, now I know what it is. The crazy is strong. Are you familiar with the Villa Vista area, and is it similar to Boquete in weather and amenities? It is not similar at all. Villa Vista is in Panama City, and it's a real funky bohemian kind of vibe in the Villa Vista area in Panama City. It's much warmer weather than we have here in Boquete and more humid also, not to mention the traffic and the congestion. So it's not the same thing. Let's see. I don't know if I've missed any of the questions here. Let me see. Monique says, does Volcán have a farmer's market with organic vegetables? They do have an organic market on Fridays. We just did a video recently with a couple that lives in Volcan. It's Kama and Ben, and she talked a little bit about that farmer's market that happens on Friday. Now they have some other farmers markets that's not organic vegetables, but the Friday market does have organic vegetables. So watch that video. And we do have a new video that's coming out really soon. On one of our Q&As, someone had asked about affordable housing in Boquete to buy. And if you look on the real estate agent website, so many of the properties are $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $800,000 or more in the Boquete area. And they thought, well, where am I going to have to go to get something under $100,000? And people don't know that they're actually building brand new homes for $70,000 to $80,000 here in Boquete. And we sent our videographer out last week. They did an interview with one of the owners of the company that's doing the building of it. We did some drone shots. We showed you the houses, showed you the floor plans. So we should have that video coming out really soon so you can see 2 and 3 bedroom houses that you can get for $70,000 to $80,000 here in Boquete. Now, we still really encourage you to just rent for the first 6 months at least before you rush into buying, or just rent until you get your permanent visa before you rush into buying. But we will have that video coming out soon. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll be the first one to know when that video goes live. This bill, I want to continue working to service insurance clients in the U.S. since I land and established. Can I hire an American on a 1099 there, or are there people looking to work? You're not going to be able to hire Americans that are in Panama to work for you. You'd have to hire, you could use a company like Upwork or something like that to find someone to work for you, but you wouldn't be able to hire people here. And you can still run your business, your insurance business, so long as all the clients are in the United States. But insurance is a protected profession, so you could not sell insurance to anybody in Panama. If you're still working remotely, is it possible to do? Yes, you can still work remotely whenever you move to Panama. Where would you live to be close to the international airport? So if you wanted to be close to the airport, you would probably want to live in Panama City. Do most companies and vendors honor the discounts that come with the residency visa when you are a senior? So most companies honor, you have to ask for it. They don't just automatically give it to you, but most companies do honor that. Some people, but you have to follow the rules. For example, if they have something that's a special price, then you don't get a discount on something that they say is a special price. Whenever you order a meal, you order some cocktails, a glass of wine or a bottle of wine, you have your entree, and you have a dessert, you only get the discount on the entree. You don't get the discount on the whole thing. So you just have to know what the rules are for getting those discounts, and also be selective. If you go to a restaurant or what we call a fonda, a little Panamanian meal, it's only $5 for the meal. Don't ask them for a discount because that comes right off their bottom line. And it's better if you're selective about whenever you ask for it. So I want to thank everybody so much for all of your questions that you had for me today for our Q&A. If you have any other questions that just happen to come up later on, you're always welcome to send an email to info, I-N-F-O, at PanamaRelocationTours.com, and we'll be glad to answer your questions there. It's a big decision to move to Panama, and one of the best ways to know if it's right for you is to come for a visit. Of course, we can help you by doing an all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour. We'll take you all around the country. We're going to show you a lot of different areas, and then you're going to be able to determine if Panama is right for you. Plus, it's like a rolling seminar the whole time that everything is moving. Or you can do a private tour. If you know you want to live in a beach community or a mountain community, you could just do a private tour of the area you're most interested in. In our online Panama Relocation Guide, we even have a whole complete section on how to do a self-guided tour. If you're just not a tour kind of person, you'd rather do it on your own, then you can certainly do it that way. But the best way to know, if you're real curious about Panama, if it sounded kind of good about this moving to Panama, believe me, it's really good. Then you just need to come and see it to know if it's going to be right for you. So another question that came up, how far is Chitre or Boquete from the major airport? Would it be feasible to have a home in Boquete and an apartment in Panama City? So if you live in Boquete, there is no airport. The closest airport is in David, which is about 45 minutes away. If you live in Chitre, there is a small airport in Chitre that can get you to the international airport very quickly, just like the airport in David will take you to the international airport in Panama City. So it's definitely feasible to do any of those things. So I think that's it for tonight's question. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you showing up for our live streams every Saturday. I see the same names over and over again every Saturday, and I'm so honored that you are here with me every single Saturday. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday for the next live stream. Goodbye, everybody.